Welcome to the Incy Alphabet, bite-sized lettering tutorials for your busy life. This week on the Incy Alphabet, we are talking about the letter B. B has got to be one of my favorite letters because there are so many variations that you can use to make it look either plain or super fancy, but also so that you can make it look like your own style. First today, we're going to look at some of the placements of your circles in your Bs and how you can add variety just in a simple, basic B. When you're doing B, there is the backbone of the B, and there are the humps, the round circly parts, but I want you to think of them a little bit like circles because they are actually half circles, and the other half of the circle is going to be really important when we come to flourishing. Now, I realized that I have started drawing a B without ruining my paper. So make sure you ruin your paper somehow because it's not about being perfect, it's about creating. So this B has the midline right in the middle of the backbone. You can also vary a B by adding that midline a little bit higher or a little bit lower. So one easy way to make sure that you get nice circles is to draw a little mark where you want to get your midline. Then you can do a little circle up on the top, half circle of course, and a bigger one down on the bottom. That brings that meeting point up, and you can also drop it down as well. Drawing these little guidelines, like for your midpoint, can be very, very helpful because sometimes you'll have a picture of what you want it to look like in your head, and it can be hard to translate it to the paper, especially when your page is just blank with no guidelines. So don't feel like you're not as good at your lettering or you're creating if you're doing these little helper lines, because that actually is not true at all. You are just giving yourself a bit of a map to follow, and we're always more successful to get where we're going when we use a map, unless it's upside down. But this one isn't. So now we have 3 different types of Bs, and each of these give sort of a different style. When you add in your downstrokes to these Bs, you want to make sure that you leave what I like to call an upstroke zone in the center where it's always just thin. If you're doing foligraphy, so you're just drawing in with pencil, you want to go in and thicken up each of these downstrokes. And not just the backbone, but also the curving strokes. Not all of it, but just a little bit. I like to draw it on the outside because that makes sure that I maintain this thin area on the inside. So I would suggest drawing them on the outside just to maintain that lightness on the inside of the letter. Your job today is just to test out these 3 different types of Bs and draw them with those guidelines in place to ensure that it's easy. One other thing I want to point out is that as you're drawing in your downstrokes here, you do want to try to make it so that they are the same in width. So from here to here, and then from your widest point on all of these other downstrokes. These curved ones, though, should taper off on the top and the bottom so that you end up with an area where it's thin and then these outer areas where it's a little bit fatter. Next time, we're going to look at how we can take these Bs, fill in the rest of the circle that I mentioned to start to add in some flourishing.